It's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Mariam Longe. How you doing?
Murayo Afolabi Brown.
Yeah,
looking yellow.
How's everything?
Good. So yesterday, right, at the hospital, they had asked that I bring some samples, like bodily samples, and they also give me a container for number 2. I'm like, please, can we just move up and stop asking people to bring that one? Like, can't we?
Always ask for it.
Like, why?
When you go to hospital.
Yeah.
And when you want to test you,
they ask you for
2 samples. Number 1 and number
But
2.
2. Like, can't we just move on from there? Can't they find another way of getting that sample?
It.
Yes, please. It has to be the most disgusting, annoying thing to do.
Imagine what it feels like to be a lab scientist. Going
through it. Oh.
Yeah, different kind of poops.
I'm telling you.
You have to mention the name.
How are you doing, Tokwe?
I'm good. Grateful to God for life. Had an amazing time on my Monday Instagram live yesterday. And I got a wonderful feedback from someone who joins me every Monday. She was talking about that she started taking affirmations since, I've been doing affirmations since forever, but I took the entire 2018 and 2019. I was posting affirmations every day, and she said she learned and started writing affirmations, and she started confessing consistently all through last year that she was going to be debt-free. And she lives in the UK. She got, on her birthday last month, she got a £9,000 debt wiped, forgiven from the bank. She said she has been saying it over and over again that she's debt-free, But when she saw the letter, she had to call the bank that maybe it's a scam. Yeah. Are you sure? They said no, that he's been a good customer and decided to wipe away her debt. Affirmations, just speak live. And I said it last week that you have to be conscious about Nigeria. Don't use your mouth to speak negatively about Nigeria.
Yeah, exactly.
You live in Nigeria. You live wherever you are. Keep saying that every system here would work for me. Speak life about your leaders, so that it's not your mouth that will not put you into trouble. Because some of us in this same country, we are going to thrive, will flourish.
Yeah.
That's all.
How are you doing, Obiajilu?
I'm doing amazing.
See you.
I'm doing amazing. A lot is happening. I have a lot of work on my table. I'm planning an event in Abuja for next month.
Nice.
We're going to be looking at the divine feminine energy. Yes, a lot of us actually operate in our masculine energy, and it's a lot of grabby, fighty, envy, jealousy. But when you learn to operate in your natural God-given energy, which is dominantly the feminine, so we're supposed to have both, but as a woman, you should have more feminine energy than a bit of masculine energy. But we operate mainly with our masculine energy, especially for people that are driven like we are, because some of those drives are actually masculine in nature. So when we get into that space, we are now operating in our masculine energy. And it limits us from receiving so much from people around us, the universe and all of that. So we're going to be breaking this down in Abuja. We decided to start Abuja first because I have a lot of clients in Abuja and they've been like, you've never done a physical event. Why don't you come to the city and all that? So I'm going to be posting all the links very soon so you can register. Yeah.
What day is it? You're not telling us yet.
No. It's after your launch. It's next month. First week in next month, yeah. Yeah.
Cool. For me, nothing major.
Everything.
Plenty.
All road leads to
book launch.
Queen of Talk TV.
Yeah, we
Telling
thank
you.
God, we thank
Queen
the
of
Lord,
Talk
we thank God.
TV.
We're trying to get the governor to confirm
Our
his yes.
governor.
Please
He's
come.
specially inviting you.
We are specially inviting you to celebrate the Queen
But
of
it's all,
Talk TV.
it's all good, though. We thank God. I'm excited about it. Lots of people have called in to show their support and said they'll be there. So I feel like I'm beating more than I can chew. I'm like, every day I'm thinking, but
You'll be fine.
I'm fine. Need to come, I need to go.
Yes.
You got it.
It's going to break. We
It's
come
fine.
back. We go through the front pages and then stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're going to start with the nation. Labour suspends strike plan. Court dismisses Keyamo's suit seeking Atiku's arrest for alleged corruption. Uzodinma, APC governor supporting Abbas and Kalu. Obi didn't win in Nasarawa, Atiku's witness tells court. Fracas as Ogun Tribunal begins sitting. Don't hoard intelligence, Tinubu directs security agencies. Health workers call off strike conditionally. And Jim Ibrahim rates president's development plan high. Okay, Which story are we starting with?
Health workers. So our health workers under the aegis of the Joint Health Workers Union, that's JOHESU, an assembly of healthcare professionals, APA, have suspended their indefinite strike. So according to The Nation, they said the unions had a meeting with President Bola Tinubu around 1:30 p.m. yesterday at the Villa in Abuja. And the JOHESU National Vice Chairman, Dr. Obinna Ogbonna, confirmed this, saying that the plea, the assurance and body language of the President Tinubu convinced the union members to give the federal government 21-day ultimatum, so that, or timeline, so to speak, so that the government can begin implementation of some of their demands. And he said, I quote, "We have just returned from the expanded National Executive Council, NEC meeting, with the level of engagement from the government side, coupled with some of the indicators we have seen so far, and with our visit to the Villa to see Mr. President, who gave the assurance that he's going to look into our issues with the mindset of resolving them, we brought the matter to the Congress." He also stated that the health sector, that's according to the President now, that the health sector is an important sector that we should not gloss over, and he has come to reignite confidence and trust, and we should take him by his words. He should take that to the Congress, that he's ready to work with them.
Okay, so go ahead.
There's a headline, which is organized labor last night have put off the planned strike over the removal of the petrol subsidy by federal government. This happened after, they said, yesterday's marathon meeting with the federal government and leaders of TUC and NLC. We know, so they came to some sort of agreement, and they said the parties agreed follows: the NLC to suspend the notice of strike forthwith to enable further consultations, the TUC and the NLC to continue the ongoing engagements with the federal government and secure closure on the resolutions above, the labor centers and the federal government to meet on June 19, 2023 to agree on implementation of framework. I think we're discussing this a bit later, so then we'll be much more...
Okay, so President Bola Tinubu visited the National Counterterrorism Center. That's our city, you know, the movie 24. He visited the center in Nigeria. Well, he has said that information intelligence sharing among security agencies is very crucial. And specifically, he said that counterterrorism that is not backed by knowledge is not going to service any nation. He wanted the efforts of the entire armed forces of this country must be put together in a way that's focusing on security. So you can't have disharmony in an orchestra. We must focus on one tunnel, coordinate, share information, share intelligence, and work together. So him being there obviously demonstrated that the importance of ensuring that we have the right intelligence to be able to conquer the issue of terrorism in our nation. So I'm happy that he's saying that all the agencies must work together and share information, and nobody must hold information to the security of this nation.
Still within the security space, the nation sat with the former Inspector General of Police, and he was expressing strong confidence in the ability of the President Ahmed Tinubu, to be able to handle the insecurity challenges in the country. He said that if anybody asks about how he feels concerning insecurity in Nigeria, he would say he trusts President Bola Ahmed Tinubu 100% because he worked with...
Who is this, Jim Ibrahim?
No. Mike Okiro,
okay,
former Inspector General of Police. He said that when he was the now president was governor of Lagos State, there was major insecurity before he got into power, and he had to tell the governor at the time that they had challenges, and every time there was a question, he was able to respond to it. He said he needed fuel. They created a fuel dump in Alausa where all patrol vehicles were going to get petrol. He said the innovation of creating a police trust fund, which other governors in other states have now followed, he can say without fear that in the next 3 years, we will see a major improvement in the security landscape of Nigeria. I want to join in his optimism and pray that we would all testify as a nation that we have a safer country in 3 years.
The Punch, subsidy NLC kicks as court stops strike, police warns hoodlums. Picture story here, 1 billionaire petrol, other smuggled goods seized in May, says customs. Unilag undergraduate shot dead over stolen phone. FD records 930 billion naira 2-month fiscal deficit, says CBN. Tinubu would turn economy around, says Jimo Ibrahim. Nigeria Air reps grill FG officials today. Foreign trade declines by 2.6 trillion over forex shortage, says NBS. Presidential election article witness alleged poll fraud. Okay, which story are we starting with?
Human interest stories, a very painful one, said an undergraduate of the University of Lagos, identified as Adekunle, was on Saturday shot dead by armed robbers at Harvey Road, Moore Road Junction in Yaba area of the state. According to the story, they said Adekunle and his schoolmates boarded a shuttle bus from Yaba to Unilag, and while in the vehicle, a man who was hanging at the back of the bus dispossessed Okweyemi, that's the girl, with her iPhone 7 Plus. And, the Adekunle, now, Okweyemi raised the alarm, and Adekunle decided to chase after this young man. And while he was chasing him, getting very close to, apprehending him, some hoodlums around, probably in connection with the thief, one of them just came out and shot him in the head.
You're kidding
and
me.
They say he landed in the left side of the head and he died instantly. The police is aware of what has happened. They have evacuated him to the morgue. They are promising investigation to, commence. And the young lady was crying, saying that it was because of her phone. He just wanted to help. You know how students are now. They feel they can do everything. Just chase him and catch him. Not knowing that other boys in the area were working with the thief and they just shot. Poor boy lost his life. It's just a painful story.
Really sad. You know, we have guns like that people can just bring out gun in the middle of the street and shoot somebody.
My sister.
Robbers.
Any other story?
Yes. So we've got the story of, so this is Nigeria Air. The House of Representatives Committee on Aviation had initially scheduled a meeting, they call it an investigative hearing, on the controversial launch of Nigeria Air. It was supposed to hold on Monday. All the stakeholders were there, but the chairman of the committee did not arrive until 2 hours later. And most of the representatives had left, like, we did not even see the person that's supposed to chair the event. Anyway, he came, he apologized to those who stayed behind. It's been rescheduled to today at 3 p.m. And what's on the table is that they feel that, one, the Buhari administration failed to deliver Nigeria Air after 8 years. Also, the federal government boycotted domestic airlines under the aegis of Airline Operators of Nigeria and then signed a deal with Ethiopian Airlines to float the Nigerian carrier. AON took them to court, and so the launch of bringing the aircraft, the launch was not legal because they were already in court and they had stopped the process. So doing that was going against, court order. So those are the things that they'll be investigating when they sit.
All right, let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue with our review. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Okay, thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing Punch. Thought we had a story, or should we move on? Okay, can't remember. Okay, I think I have the. Do you have a story in Punch?
Yeah,
go ahead,
I wanted to take the story about what the custom did in the customs achievements. Let me put it that way. In May of 2023, so they were able to, according to the Federal Operations Unit Zone A, Ikeja of the Nigerian Customs Service, it says it intercepted 30,000 litres of PMS, that's petrol, and they also intercepted 6,861 bags of foreign parboiled rice in 12 trailers, and these were trying to avoid the duty. The duty value, if they had come in officially, would have been 1 billion in May 2023. And in the statement, they said that some goods were wrongly classified, some goods were they were in violation of the import-exportation of goods guideline. There were goods concealment, there were smuggling, some were seized for contravening, like the parboiled rice definitely is not legal to bring in parboiled rice into Nigeria. And they said that the total of 79 seizures that took place in May would amount to a total duty of 1 billion naira in the official sense of it. I was also trying to get the place where they found the petrol because, you know, we've been talking about the fact that a lot of petrol are moving across borders, but they just mentioned that they seized the petrol, but they didn't say
where it was going.
Yeah.
Daily Sun, very quickly, subsidy removal, NLC, TUC suspend strike. Activities pick up in Enugu as Mba monitors no sit-at-home order. Senate presidency support swells for Kalu Yari as more senators elect join camp. Court finds Keyamo 10 million naira for filing frivolous suit against Atiku. Nigeria's debt stock to hit 70 trillion by end of 2023. World Environment Day, Adeleke approves creation of Osun Climate Action Plan. Shocking revelation at the Presidential Election Tribunal. Tinubu at Anti-Terrorism Center, task security intelligence agencies. Okay, which story are we starting with?
I'll start with World Environment Day. So this is Osun State, and the governor has approved the creation of the State Action Plan to save planet from climate change. He disclosed that this is through his spokesperson, disclosed that the creation of the Department of Climate Change is underway at the Ministry of Environment, and that the creation of a business carbon project is also subject of discourse with the leadership of the Osun State Chamber of Commerce and Industry. It's just interesting to note, that, they are interested in the important conversations happening globally. I also know that the nephew of the governor of Osun State is also like an ambassador for one of our biggest organizations, on environment. So maybe that has sort of rubbed off on him, I don't know, or just being part and parcel of important conversations that are happening around the world. And I think is a welcome development. And we celebrate it as well.
Execution
is next.
So I was supposed to take a story yesterday. Because of time, I didn't get there. The governor of Enugu State, Dr. Peter Mba, had said that there is no more sit-at-home in Enugu State, and they're trying to see how they can get across the southeast, that this has crippled the economy of the southeast for a long time. The people need to find a way to come out and go about their own businesses because they're actually hurting themselves. But the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, had advised him today, said he should not use security agents to forcefully stop the sit-at-home order. So the spokesperson of the group, Ima Powerful, said that drafting security agents to quell the directive will amount to giving license to killing of his members and people from the southeast. He said IPOB on their own had already suspended the sit-at-home directive, and they have advised that they must use caution, to get the people. It's just about conversing with people, getting them to understand that they can now come out and trying to fish out all the people who are still enforcing the sit-at-home, but they must not use security agencies. They must not use security officials so that we don't have people, shooting and killing each other. But talks must be ongoing so that people understand the benefits of coming out to go about their businesses.
Okay, so still towards the inauguration of the National Assembly next week, Tuesday, all the various groups that are the political divides for the senators concerning who's going to become the Senate president and has continued. So we have Senator Orji Uzor Kalu and Abdulaziz Yari went to visit former President Buhari in his house in Daura, and they went with them 22 other senators just to show some numeric strength and fact that they have some kind of support. So they were there, and Kalu had told newsmen that he had joined forces with Yari towards achieving his political ambition. According to findings, the president received them warmly, and they were in Daura to congratulate the former president and pray for his health, especially after office, and assured him that they were working towards a cordial legislative executive relationship under the new administration. So everybody is just showing the amount of support they have, especially in the National Assembly. We're waiting to see exactly specifically what the NWC of the APC have agreed as regards where they're zoning to and who they're going to be supporting for the Senate president. Some have said it's Akpabio, others are saying it's Senator Orji Uzor Kalu. We'll see until next week, Tuesday, when all this will be put to rest finally. Okay,
still talking about the 10th National Assembly, the Policy Legal Advocacy Group, which is a leading non-profit organization for democracy and good governance, has called for transparency, said that we're going to be having the new administration, the 10th Assembly is expected to, the president would issue a proclamation for the 10th Assembly next week, and they're expecting that in line with the principles of separation of powers, that it should be devoid of interference from the executive arm or any intimidation or harassment or even use of state machinery. Obviously, it seems like these people are saying a different thing from what is going on, because those that are canvassing are going to visit former presidents, see how to do show of strength. But he's saying that this body, plaque, is saying to strengthen democracy, they must be allowed to choose their leaders democratically within the floor of the National Assembly without any interference from anybody outside.
You know, we had a guest before that was trying to give us explain the scenario that had a consensus of voting, trying to explain to us the different benefits of each. We'll see which one plays out. Moving on now to Vanguard. Subsidy, lctc suspend strike. We took that story already. Atiku versus Tinubu, I signed natural result under duress, witness tells court. Or attack, survivors groan, families of victims relieve sad experiences 1 year after. Counter-terrorism fight must be backed by intelligence, says Tinubu. 10th National Assembly, why court stopped arrest of ex-Governor Yari. Presidential Tribunal, Obi tenders results of 8 more states in evidence. An SPV saga, court declines to order Atiku's arrest, fines Keyamo 10 million naira. I was going to take the families of the victims that were murdered a year ago by terrorists at the St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo, have continued to recount their ordeals. In particular, if you recall, about 41 worshippers, yes, about 41 worshippers, including children and the aged, were murdered in cold blood during morning mass by the terrorists. One lady in particular, her name was Monogbe Rita, she lost her husband and 2 sisters, and said that the incident would remain indelible in her heart forever. She was saying that her husband, who was a police officer, was trying, when they heard the gunshots, was trying to stand up to see what was going on outside, and that's when he was shot. And then his sister, who was trying to pull him down, not to look out the window, through the window, too, was also shot. He said that immediately people started running inside. I saw some hefty men clad in black, so they ran back after consistent shots and all that. So she was just recounting the horrors, and many of them still feel they don't have closure, obviously, because they've not been able to arrest and convict the perpetrators of this gruesome attack. So many others shared their stories. So it's been a year, and she said she was giving 500,000, and the church also supported her with starting capital to commence her business and scholarship for her children. So there's been a bit of support from government and church. But I guess full closure comes when these perpetrators are caught and then convicted. Okay.
We can
Any other story?
So yes, North Central, we are shouting. We're saying, we are saying. So in Abuja yesterday, yesterday, Reverend Dominic Alancha, who is the convener, concerned APC stakeholders, North Central Zone, have announced that Senator Akume, giving the SGF, secretary to the government, and that is being touted as a compensation to the North Central. They have refused to accept that as compensation. They said that is compensation to the past governor, that's the former governor of Benue State and former minister of special duties, for his contributions towards the party. But he's asking the APC that they should review their zoning, that because the way they are going about it, if they're saying that the North Central has already been compensated, are they saying that if they give the Senate President to South-South, give the Deputy Senate to Northwest, then come and give Speaker to Northwest? It does not make sense. It looks like the zoning is skewed against North Central. Please do not say that because Akume is SGF, that means that we have been compensated. We have not been, and we're asking for speakership. We are asking for speakership. We are asking.
So the National Assembly, the 10th Assembly matter is serious. Apparently, the Senator Yari has gone to court to ensure that ICPC, EFCC, and all the CCs cannot are restrained from arresting him. They feel that these agencies want to arrest him and keep him from being sworn in because he has aspirations to become the Senate President of the 10th Assembly. And when he went to court, the court now has given an injunction that they should not, the EFCC or ICPC should not arrest him or detain him while the court case is going on. So he's in court for a case, but he's aspiring.
Okay, that is all we can take on Front Page Review. When we return, We start with our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So our hot topic today is still about the strike that was initially planned. The health workers under the umbrella of the Joint Health Sector Unions, JOHESU, have suspended their 12-day warning strike. The union has said that the decision was reached after they had met with the president, and on Monday, they had made actually a few demands. Some of the demands I'd like to read because before we bring in our guests. They had said that they needed the adjustment of consolidated health salary structure, that's the CONHES, payment of peculiar allowances to health workers under the aegis of JOHESU and the AHPA, immediate and unconditional implementation of the consultant cadre circular for pharmacists in all federal health institutions.
We also talked about payment of all withheld salaries of our members in Federal Medical Center, FMC Owerri, Jos University Teaching Hospital, JUTH, Lagos University Teaching Hospital, LUTH, and outstanding April and May 2018 salaries of members in Federal Medical Center, FMC Azari. Payment of health workers exclude in the payment of new allowances.
Yes, so they also requested for immediate approval and implementation of the technical committee report on CONHES, the adjustment by the federal government and immediate payment of the omission and shortfall in COVID-19 hazard / inducement allowance for affected health workers in the institutions.
Asking also for recognition of health workers in non-core hospital facilities in the payment of new hazard allowance and immediate and unconditional implementation of pharmacist consultant cadre.
Yes, so joining us now is the National Vice President and Acting President, Joint Health Sector Unions, JOHESU, Mr. Burna Chima himself. Good morning, sir, Mr. Chima.
Good morning to you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for being on the show. So we just read the demands of JOHESU from the federal government, and you know you had a meeting with the president. Give us an idea of how that meeting went and why you were able to call off the strike.
All right, thank you very much. The meeting had a coloration of progress, especially by the intervention of Mr. President, who has shown us that he's hitting the ground running as he promised, because it's barely 1 week into office now, and he has seen the need to make sure that the health sector is not in crisis. He invited us, and he listened to us, and he has seen the need and justifications to our demands, and he promised that he is going to, together with his lieutenants, make sure that these issues are resolved amicably. And we carried the message of Mr. President, and with other engagements we had earlier on, and presented such to our members, the Executive Council. And during the course of the meeting, they also agreed that we should honor Mr. President and give a window of 21 days to enable him and his lieutenants to constructively look into these matters with the aim of addressing them positively to the gains of the members.
Right.
That was highlight of reasons why the strike was suspended.
Okay.
Okay, so what do you expect the federal government to have done in that 21 days that you're given to enable you either forget about going on strike or going back to strike? What are some of the metrics you would see to show that the government is already working in that 21 days?
Well, there are issues that has to do with money, fund in the requests. There are some that are just letters or circulars to be released or directives to be given to assuade and get such things solved. So those ones that will not require too much bureaucratic indices, like directive, writing circulars and all that, those ones could be done within the ambient of time, while those ones that has to do with finance also will be considered constructively with the basic indices that are required, because we have some of our members also who are experienced accountants, financial munguts, that will also join in making sure that the time space will good enough to get all our demands implemented.
Right.
With the goodwill and the enthusiasm we saw in the body language of Mr. President, we don't think that 21 days will be too small for him to do the needful, and we hope that will be done.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm a bit curious about, so I love that, that there's a body language that has, given you some sort of confidence in the president. But I was wondering about this immediate payment of omission of shortfall in COVID-19 hazard and inducement allowances. For me, I feel like that's such a huge thing. That you're still even asking for that is really sad to me. Do you think, were there any concrete, conversations concerning this that gives you hope?
Well, you know that the issue of COVID-19 will be traced back to 2020. What happened was that there were some members of our union who really actively participated in the COVID management. And during the course of paying the money, they were erroneously omitted.
Okay.
Some of them, too, we are not physically in the hospitals. They were at outposts, like the leprosy center, the disease and infection centers, Kaduna in Jos and all that, the laboratories in Jos and all that. They were supposed to be captured. But we discovered that something went wrong, as if the money budgeted for that COVID-19 payment was not really enough. So it was like the government used some formulas to eliminate some people so that they will be able to capture some. So that's why we are bringing all of them back now to the mainstream, that since they participated and they were very active during that period, they should not be denied.
Yes.
Their list had been compiled, and it's with the Federal Ministry of Health for onward transmission to the appropriate government agency that will handle it.
Amazing.
So, the conversation had been ongoing for a long time before this new administration, and we also know that we don't have, in 21 days, we still probably wouldn't have a minister for health. Is it possible that the lack of having a minister or having ministers would impact on your negotiations, and would you be willing to extend the strike if by the time the 21-day elapses, you've gotten a bit of indication, but the remaining things you wanted would only require having people within that ministerial portfolio being able to execute on them? Would that be able to, will you push till after ministers are appointed?
All right, well, from the body language of Mr. President, he's not going to waste any time in doing the needful, in the sense that he had already proclaimed it, that he will put all machineries in place. But if that fails, there shall never be vacuum in governance.
Yeah.
As we speak now, the permanent secretaries have been empowered because they are in that hierarchical order, in charge of the various ministries of interest, and the governance is still going. You cannot say because we don't have ministers now, we cannot engage the labor centers. Like yesterday, you saw what happened. If we had been waiting for Minister of Labor to come and intervene, do you think the stand down now by NSC and TUC would have been accomplished?
No. Right. So finally,
governance is a continuous process, and the right persons are there now, and we have them as human resource, and they are doing beautifully well, and we pray that they will continue until the ministers come. And if the ministers come, those ones are political appointees. They will be able to take the notes from where the permanent secretaries engage us up to. If these issues have not been done with before then, we are very optimistic, believing that drive is there. I will pray that it will go this way.
Mr. Ogbonna, finally, because just like Tokwe said, the conversations with Joheso and federal government have been ongoing for years. I mean, there's always one strike or the other. For those of us Nigerians who are still trying to adjust to this new administration, the workings of what they do, how would you say the meeting you had with the president is different from what you've had in the past? When you talked about body language, the way, the countenance, maybe give us an idea of what you saw that maybe gave you that confidence that, okay, this new sheriff in town might actually take your demands more seriously than previously.
All right, from the statement of the president, even during his campaign, he made it clear that he's not going to enter into any negotiation or agreement that he will not be able to deliver or activate, and that he will not renege in any of his promises. Well, human beings are very, very fallible. It's God that is infallible. But we believe that since he has an antecedent driving the system from Lagos State to becoming Nigeria's president, we are very optimistic that he will try his best to live up to expectation. He told us during the meeting that this is a period of confidence building and trust building, that we should trust him and take him by his words. And if one is also putting his honor online, you should know what it means. And if your president, the commander-in-chief, is giving out that word like that, you should also trust. Then the past governments, when we had one engagement with a particular president, he was about leaving the president. He was contesting for re-election. He also promised that after he's re-elected, but unfortunately, he was not re-elected. But this is a sitting president that has about 4 years and more if God gives him grace. We have this belief that since he has given us his word and we also have given our commitment, he is not going to disappoint us by the special gift of God.
All right. Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ogbonna, for joining us. We just wanted to get an update from Joheso to know exactly if your demands are met, but we'll continue to wait the next 21 days and see what this administration does to meet some or all of your demands. That's all we can take on this segment. When we come back, move on to other topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Now, moving on to another topic. So, the Kwara State government reduces work days to 3 times a week for state public servants. According to them, is a response to the recent surge in transport fares and the resulting financial strain on public workers. The Kwara State government has introduced temporary measures to alleviate the situation. Now, we had discussed something like this yesterday when we were suggesting that companies could also find ways to help alleviate the financial burden on their staff. And these times where petrol, the cost of petrol has gone up. Now, many of us are complaining that filling our tanks is about over 30,000, some 40,000, some 20,000. Some as just a half tank is 20,000. It's been crazy. But Kwara State government is seeing what they can do and saying that only come to work 3 times a week. Is this something that we can extend to all state public servants? Is this something we can extend to private sector? Is this something companies should start reconsidering? Because during COVID, people were forced to find other measures to retain efficiency from their staff. now we have a situation whereby we're not used to this cost of petrol. We're not used to walking around with so much money. Are there things we can do in our homes to adjust? This morning, my husband drives to church every morning because he ministers 5:30 to 6:30 in church. This morning, he walked to church. Every day he drives. It's like 3 minutes drive. He usually drives, but he said, this morning, Mariah, I walked. I said, how are you not? With this fuel, this trip must last 1 month. So he has forced himself now. He's moving. He's going to register from that gym on CMD. He's going to register in the gym inside the estate because he feels that now I need to walk to my gym. I don't want to drive to my gym. So these are real life adjustments we are forced to make. Let me come to you, ladies. What are your thoughts? Aside from this current state, what else can we do, or what do you think we can do to help to reduce this cost of petrol?
So we had a guest yesterday who suggested working from home, and immediately the guest went off and we went on break. Mariam and I were gisting about all the possible scenarios, all the ways things could go wrong when you have people working from home. So Kwara has done this, that people should work 2 days from home.
3 days.
3 days from home. How do you retain productivity when people work from home? Because when they're working from home, they have issues of there's no power, or internet was bad, or my phone went down, or laptop went down, or we're compromising the security of crucial details that the government's, maybe the government's emails and government documents. And there are many other excuses that can happen. So it depends on how productive your system is. If you run a very productive system, you run a very hectic system, you cannot use 2020, because 2020, the entire economy went down. So we were not really being productive. People were just trying to get themselves back out of the fear that we all went through in 2020. But right now...
Well, some companies said that they were actually more productive. Many during that COVID period, some of them actually said things, they were shocked.
Companies already had the structure in environments where things were more stable. Right. I already deal with the situation where my staff will tell me that she did not come to work today. She was wanting to work from home, but the phone, there was no light for the entire night. So she could not charge her phone. So the phone was dead all through and I cannot reach her. So that's what small businesses are facing. You would say the same thing with a lot of public servants that will tell you, if I'm working from home, that means I'm buying fuel to power my generator in the house. So you're pushing, instead of you buying fuel in your office, you are pushing me to be buying fuel in my house to power my office, my home office. There are many issues.
Well, okay, so for me, it will be that, first of all, I need to just commend the Kwara State Governor for being proactive, right? You know, we always call them out when they they're not being creative. So for being proactive. And I hope he realizes that this is a very short-term measure, right? Because as Topo has said, there's something about working offline or working from home that is successful if there's already a system in place. For countries that are able to do this sustainably, it's already a country that works. So things like data, internet provision is not a problem for them anyways. Electricity, power is not a problem for them anyway, so they're able to do that. People have their smartphones or laptops or their computers easy. But we are talking of Nigeria, and we need to be honest, that there are so many things that will make this unsustainable for a long period of time. So I'm hoping that the governor is looking at it as saying, until the president comes, or until the federal government and NLC and TUC decide, what the next steps are going to be about maybe minimum wage increase. This has happened. Minimum wage has not increased. So for this short period of time, we'll give you 3 days off. But you also need to put in the work of making sure that 3 days off, or 3 days on, and the 2 days off, you're doing something. You have to put in measures to make sure that people are not just, taking advantage of government's generosity. So those things are important. And we know Nigerians how we can. If you are in your house, you just rather just, do some household chores and do things instead of doing the job itself. But I think it shows, what's the word? It shows, there's this word we like to use. When you think about something, not creativity, but thank you for doing that, but we need to just do, but I just feel that it may not be sustainable for too long.
All right, let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we continue our conversation. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this proposition by the Kwara State government to get state workers to work only 3 days a week. Let me get Mrs. initial thoughts before I bring in our guests. What are your thoughts on this proposed policy?
Yeah, I think it's a good development. I want to believe that the Kwara State government understands how the civil service works. So from what I know, most of their job does not have to do with computers and, you know, having to use so much of electricity. We still have government parastatals where they have a lot of files. They are still passing files from table to table. So if you're still operating that system, you can easily work from home because now you're not relying on electricity or data to do your work. You just have your files. But it also means that they would have to find a way to ensure that the work you're supposed to do, it's done, that the work you're supposed to do for 5 days is done in 3 days. So if they have, for instance, KPIs, what you're supposed to deliver at the end of the week. So you're not taking the work home, because I don't agree with taking that work home. Some things can get lost, missing, palm oil, you know, and all of that.
Exactly.
I do not agree with that. Or, you know, information can go out that's not supposed to go out. I don't agree with that. But that's 3 days that you come in, because also we understand how we work in this part of the world, where sometimes we say we are working, but we're not fully present.
Right.
We are doing other things at the same time. But you know that you have a KPI to submit so and so report at the end of the week. That 3 days that you come to work, you must get that report done. That's a way of checkmating to ensure that people can cut down on the cost of transportation.
Absolutely.
I think it's a good one.
Let me, I'm told that we have Mr. Rafiu Ajakaye. He's the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor of Kwara State. Good morning, sir. Are you there?
Good morning, my sister.
Good to have you on the show. So let's start, first of all, with how you intend to implement this, because having state workers includes teachers, includes hospital workers. How do they plan to work 3 times a week?
Well, thank you very much for having me once again. It is not a one-size-fits-all policy decision.
Okay.
If you check through the statement we issued yesterday from the Office of the Service, and then another statement issued from the Office of the Chief on the Governor's meeting with the labor leaders, we clarified that some categories of workers may not come under this policy directly. They will only be compensated in another way. And these categories of workers include specifically the teachers and health workers, hospital workers. So it is difficult to have them captured under that policy. So the government is having to do some other things, possibly some allowances are being recommended from what I have seen. For these categories of workers, so that when their colleagues are home, they are at work, they have to be paid, they have to be compensated for being at work for that period. Even though, because we all go to the same market, we all patronize the same, we all buy the same thing. So it's only necessary to find a way of accommodating them.
Yeah, so let me ask you, first of all, why did you decide to do this? How are the people of Kwara State adjusting to the new price of fuel? Is there availability? Do they have fuel? Do they find it easy to, get fuel? And why did you decide? I'm sure from what they have been going through made you make the decision. But what's the situation like in Kwara State?
Well, the government of Nigeria has taken a policy decision to remove subsidy. This did not begin with the government of Enugu. It was removed in the past dispensation. Now, this is our reality, and we just have to grapple with it. This is the governor being strategic in handling a sensitive issue. The civil servants represent a very critical segment of our society. And the governor realized that there is a need for us to ensure that they do not spend all their earnings on transportation. So, in that wise, the government is saying that our workers can go to work 3 times in a week instead of the 5 times. Don't forget that this whole idea of reducing work days or even reducing the number of workers at work started from 2020. from the COVID-19 era. So it is not entirely new. Kwara State only started having workers fully back at work in 2021, late 2021, early 2022. So what we are doing now is not entirely strange to us, and I can tell you that workers are very, very happy about it. They are very happy because it really lessens their expenses, really.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask you about other policies to encourage. So this is one for a few civil servants. Obviously, I don't see how this would affect teachers because the school system already runs a 5-day-a-week structure. But what are the other measures that the state governor is putting in place to reduce the burden of the increase in fuel on the citizens of Kwara State?
Well, I mentioned earlier that our teachers and our health workers are possibly not directly affected in the 3 days per week work schedule. Some allowances are being worked out for them, and very shortly the office of the head of service will come up with the right to that regard.
I wanted to know what
the government is also looking at other palliatives, particularly something that will affect other segments of the society, such as the students, for instance, the market people, and all of those people. I know that the federal government will work hand in hand with the state government to ensure that a better deal is designed for the people of Nigeria, and the people of Kwara State will definitely benefit from that. But at our level at the state, in Kwara State, we are looking at the possibility of introducing policies that government will subsidize in some way.
Right.
Yes, I would like to know if if the government has also had a conversation of how long they plan to do this for, and that it is sustainable, because we do know that people will take advantage. In what ways also would you make sure that people do not take advantage of a policy with good intention?
Well, the truth of the matter is that we are not new to this kind of a thing. I mentioned that earlier.
Yes.
And the civil service, particularly the leadership of the civil service, they have their of tackling such challenges. I know there is a regime of clocking in some MDAs in Kwara State, and we can only improve on such mechanisms to ensure that people do the right thing.
All right. Thank you very much. We just wanted to get an update from Kwara State on this, but we're happy that one state is taking this initiative, and we hope that other states will also find modalities to find a way to alleviate this hardship on people. Thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Good morning.
So, I mean, there he goes. We're talking about the Kwara State's positions, but what do you think about private sector? I mean, you said something that people can actually do their work in 3 days sometimes. I mean, who gave us the 5 day that you have to work 5 days a week? Somebody created 5 days, Monday through Friday, and we kind of put the structure. So the same people that started the 5 days can say, you know what, it's now a 3 working day plan or 4 working day, Monday through Thursday or Monday through Friday. Get your job done reports. You have a long weekend, come on Monday. You can restructure things because obviously everybody must find solutions to make things easier for people to...
When diesel price skyrocketed, we saw banks modernize because it was a shock.
Yeah.
It's important. It might seem reactive, but that reaction is necessary for survival, that when a major policy or economic change happens, you react so that you can assess, so that your business doesn't die before you are able to recover.
I went to an office when they started this thing, and by 3 p.m. the diesel went off. 3 p.m. everybody, and they knew that in 1 hour, 3 p.m. just when the diesel goes off, it means that in the next 1 hour we are done. So whatever you're doing, wrap it up without NEPA.
They have the alternative inverters to manage for that 1 hour. Even the school, our school, when I got to school this year, was different from last year. The power, all the ACs they used to run in the canteen eating area, the ACs are off. And we're like, oh, we're sweating. I say, guys, do you understand the economy? They have to sustain the organization. So I get the part of cutting costs. But as an investment coach, and I talk to people about their finances, cutting costs is a short-term measure. The long-term measure must be to increase earnings. So if for me, as someone, I'll say I have to increase my income. For the person that is earning a salary, you'll be looking like what all of the NLC people are saying. You need to increase my salary because you can see the economic realities. But cutting costs is short-term. I want to hear more long-term approach, but we'll definitely applaud Kwara State for being one of the states that is doing a short-term approach, and they were waiting to hear other states. And
this also might be good for economy. Let me come to you, because I know you're a coach, you're a personal development coach. So if I'm working 3 days a week, the remaining four days or 2 days, I can start doing other
Thank you.
This is the economic way.
For you to make more money into your pocket. You can't even survive in Nigeria doing just one job. Yeah, they light the school system lied to us. Get a good job when you graduate, white-collar job, and everybody's hustling to get that job. But you realize with the bills looking at you, you need to do some other things that will put money consistently in your pocket. And that means that when you're present to do a job, please be present, because you know you have limited time, and that also will grow your competence. You are able to have time management, organize your time in such a way that those extra things, you know how we gist from office to office. I've worked in some of these places and I know how it happens. You leave your office, you go to Mariah's office, you gist for 1 hour, gossiping things that are not necessary. You now know that you have deliverables to give. You have to come back, finish your task. When you people close, you can be gisting as you're trekking home and, you know, also help you to improve on your health. Some of us, we drive all through, then weekends we go to the gym to be working out. Now you can walk. At the same time, save the money for the gym. So everybody's just trying to cut costs. But what I would like us to take from here is the world is changing fast, which we cannot avoid. Tomorrow it may be something else that will have to take you even away from that job. How do you survive when you are not in a place where you have free days, you have access to internet, you have access to everything? How do you operate and do well? How do you come out productive when you have just limited resources? So it's a way of also expanding.
You know, when I hear this kind of things, I remember when I used to work back in the US, and I just used to find it very uncomfortable way. I can't come and gist with you. There's no time.
No.
Like, you clock in, you're at your desk, they're monitoring where you are. When it's time to go on a break, you clock out and wait for a break. Once you go back on the break, you clock in
again.
So that's how they calculate how much they give you at the end of. But here, after I finish small work like this, I can go to a desk, you know, we come back. So really, it's just to reorganize ourselves. And say, okay, how do we become more productive, even in 2 or 3 days? Because if we look at some of these state government work, some of them really can be productive in 3 days.
You can move all the files you want to move.
You're right.
Yes,
they can be productive in the 3 days. And as you said, we don't have a system that is able to measure the exact hours that you put into work. So we're getting away with a lot. In fact, if we put the money we lose from just wasting time and wasting effort, we would pay a lot of our debts. But it's true, the world is changing. We need to do more, but it's not just in saying, you know, go work for 3 days and then take the remaining 2 days off. Those 3 days, we need to put in a system that determines the hours that you really put into work. And of course, we know that this cannot affect the whole industry, like all the sectors. There are some sectors. I want my doctors to the hospital. I don't want my doctor calling me and saying, touch your arm. How does it feel? I want you to come and touch it, you know. But I like that our leaders are showing initiative, but we need to put in long-term plans for better production.
We've not taken any social media comments today. Any thoughts on social media on this?
Several.
We're looking forward to other state governments to come out and give us what their own plans are to help. Yes,
Ghania says, myself, they find new streams of income. Surviving on one is becoming unrealistic. Oladidi said, it's good for the economy and environment. The advantages are numerous. Couples are also finding it harder, you know, to...
You're right. I wanted to even ask that if, forget government, let's say going forward, and people and companies are saying that we should work a few days on and 2 days off at home, are we willing to take some pay cuts? So they give you an option. Do 5 days and you get this amount. Do 3 days and then you get this amount instead, less than those who are doing 5 days or less than those who are doing... Are we also looking... Will we also prefer like an hourly, weekly payment?
Don't rush us,
Nigeria. No, these are conversations we need to start having.
Wait,
so that we don't get to that point and then be having conversations. We're confused.
Don't rush us.
No, we will rush you because we are already there. Once you put your leg there,
it's gone.
Then it has opened you a whole...
Yes,
I had a conversation.
So do we prefer hourly?
No, wait. Nigeria cannot ready. I was recruiting someone and she was clear in stating what her salary expectations are. I said, well, I can't meet that bill. Why don't I let you work for 2 days? And but she said she has salary expectations and she had
welfare,
flexible work expectation. So I said, the salary expectation makes it compulsory. You have to be flexible because I cannot pay this money you are asking for. But this is how much I can pay. Work 2 days, 3 days in a week. She said, with this amount of money, I said, okay, I'll reduce it. I cannot change the money. Work 2 days in a week. Guess what? She said she cannot do the work. So even though I'm reducing the number of days she has to work, people, we need to get more realistic. We need to begin to do
cannot be free.
The work you do, the pay you get. Because we have gotten away with people just knowing I can just come and attend. I had my studios. Somebody will come and will not sell anything for a full week. You will come and I say, you don't come to the studio to open shop. You're not here to just sit down. When you are here and we are not selling, it means you are not working. So you will start thinking, can I go outside and market, bring people in? But we're not doing that. We're not thinking productivity. We just think, let me be present and not being productive.
Wait, so you people are rushing us, so we are not ready. First of all, minimum wage is how much? It's not even commensurate. No, see, I'm talking about government. Now, leave private sector. We know how to negotiate that one. If it's one hourly you want to do and all of that, some people are already getting there now. I have somebody who met me recently. She does about 3 jobs. In Nigeria here, I was shocked. How do you do it? You say flexible hours here, here, and there. So we have that. The private sector is already sorting that. But let's not begin to give these ideas to governments. First of all, they never pay the one we go reach us take chop first. How much is minimum wage compared to?
No, some workers are not earning minimum wage.
I know. But you know, when you start talking about this pay cut, of course it will start from minimum wage. So let's wait. Let this phase blow over first. Then the government can now start revising and revisiting. But when you start having this idea, say, hey, now that we're reducing the number of days, let's quickly reduce the number of, the amount of money we pay you, which is not even enough. They cannot even buy the fuel for that 3 days with that amount of money they are paying. So let's not rush
But you
government.
you acknowledged earlier in your conversation that, you know, some of these jobs can be done in 3 days. Anyway.
Yes, I agree.
They're spending time gisting and laughing. So we're wasting money. Money that can be put into other things. So this subsidy removal that we're talking about, we're also talking of removal of wasted time that can be put into other things. So if I give you 30,000 to come in for every 5 days a week, right? That's what I pay minimum. But in the 5 days, you spend in every hour that you're at work, you spend nearly 5 hours. First of all, let me even be more realistic. You go to a government parastatal. They are not at work at the time they are meant to be. Most of the time, they saunter in around noon.
1 hour late.
They talk and then they do. We are talking of side business. A lot of them run their side businesses in the office. I'm telling you, they're selling TV, they're gisting and everything. Then they close oh my God, just come while they are thinking of going on break or you are in trouble. They will eye you from up to down. If they are nice enough, they help you. But if not, they'll tell you to come back the next day. So if we were to compress all that together and we get 2 days, and we say, okay, in the 2 days, you see, we will just pay you for these 2 days.
Which is how much from the 30,000?
We'll carry
and then after your plantain
but
chips.
the truth of the matter is that we're all part of this issue.
Yes. I know. So let's look at the current realities and our purchasing power. So that we don't end up hurting people that are already hurting. That's why I'm saying this conversation can shift.
Let's bring the conversation back to regular Nigerians. So this is one government doing something, but how are we adjusting? How are regular Nigerians also adjusting in their own individual ways? How you're cooking food, how you're you said we start doing planning on how to pick up the kids together. These are the carpooling. These are things that people need to begin to reconsider as we go, because company owners. Now, she says, is this short term or is it going to be what we're going to be doing? Because hey, it's not removing subsidy short term. It's gone.
No, subsidy is gone. Your income, your expenditure has increased automatically. Your short-term plan is to cut back. Your long-term plan is to increase earnings. So that's standard economic financial planning. But how do we do that? How do we empower Nigerians to be thinking that way? For some people that are already used to, my entire life is based on salary, used to understand that you will negotiate with your bosses. I say something all the time that because people we don't measure our productivity as individuals or know how we're being productive. If you go and meet, I'm your boss and you know what we are earning, and you come and meet me and say, please, ma, I want to do more work and I want to earn more money. If I'm able to increase our income by 50%, would you pay me more money? Do you understand? We were able to negotiate that. I will do more work to ensure we earn more money in this organization, pay me more money. In corporates, the way the civil service runs, we are talking about increasing efficiency. The governor can say, all of you in civil service, you want to increase money, I'll be okay. This is what your ministry is doing. This is what we want to do. Let's set a target for this ministry. If you are able to achieve this target,
help efficiency.
Everybody will know that we need to make more money.
Belts everywhere.
Yes, everybody. And if we truly tighten belt and we increase productivity, we will see
we
a
have
better
to
country.
run because we have a guest. But
make on not tighten the poor people belts first. They're already poor. Let us be looking at those people there.
Because even I know a cleaner that comes early in the morning, sweeps. After she sweeps, there's absolutely nothing else for her to do. She's either selling chin-chin here, selling plantain chips, and after everybody has gone, she's not clean. So she still earns, but we're also letting her know that you don't have to work 8 hours. You come 2 hours in the morning, you go and do your own business. Come back 2 hours later. So in a day, you're working 4 hours. You can be productive for 4 hours.
You not pay transportation 2 times.
No.
Oh, you are forgetting where these problems are.
You're working in your neighborhood now. You can't transport anymore.
Let's even put the transportation into, let's not make it look so draconian. So you're coming to this office to work for 4 hours. The money that you get at the end of in your wages, that is reflected how much transportation it costs you to come to work and go back from work. So that's already there. So what I would see her thinking is, okay, that means I can get another job in a company down the road. So I do another 4 hours there or 2 hours, and I'm able to get money from different places. And then if I can as well, do my side business on the side. So Nigerians, I think we should just start thinking like, okay, government, you're removing subsidy. Let me see how.
Focus on the opportunities it creates.
Yes.
That's the way to end it, So let's not focus on subsidy removal. Let us focus on the opportunity it has created for us in our neighborhood. My children are starting to sell cookies now. Because you realize that people are always working in the morning, right? So we're going to bring out water dispenser, give them water. As they're thinking that water, want to buy biscuits because you must earn money. I told them this summer we are having a strategy plan. We're going to make money for this summer. We must make money. That is all we can take on this segment. When we come back, we'll bring in our guests. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. It's Tuesday, so we must touch on health. World Environmental Day is the largest global platform for environmental public outreach, and it's celebrated by millions of people across the world. According to their website, their theme this year is #Beat Plastic Pollution. In commemoration of the World Environmental Day, we have Dr. Tunde Ayeye. He is a public health consultant who's going to be talking to us on how we can indeed beat plastic pollution in Nigeria. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much.
Good to have you. We're pretty excited to have you because we know we have an environmentalist here on the show. She loves the environment and she's chasing away all our, she's protecting all our vultures. Everybody knows that, Mama Vulture. But so she's kind of really brought us up to speed on the importance of environment and protecting the environment. But let us talk about June 5th, which is actually the World Environmental Day. What would you do? Because you also know that they're the chief cleaner, national president, the chief, the cleaners practitioners of Nigeria.
Correct.
So you are the chief cleaner.
I'm number one Nigerian cleaner.
Since you are number one Nigerian cleaner, African Nigerian cleaner, tell us what your role is in cleaning up our environment and what you hope Nigerians can begin to see the importance of cleaning our environment.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you for having me. Good morning to the viewers. I think this is such an important topic. Right. Our environment speaks to everything. I've listened to some of the things we've been talking about and some of the issues we've been talking about. Society is one large body and everything affects every other thing. I mean, primarily I'm a physician. That's where I started our life from. So your health, your environment, your person, your productivity, all of these things are tied together. Just before I talk about the World Environment Day, I always like to domesticate my own opinion because this is Nigeria, this is sub-Saharan Africa.
Right.
And we have all of these days and all of these global days. We need to try and domesticate it. What is the environment to us? in Nigeria, what is the environment and what is the impact? What is the impact on productivity? What is the impact on health? What is the impact on my under 5 mortality? What is the impact on my neonatal and maternal mortality? All right, before we start talking about all the esoteric things of, green gas emissions and greenhouse emissions and things like that, and conservation. We're talking about a country of probably 130 or 150 million multidimensionally poor people. So we really need to hone down. But coming to the World Environment Day itself, it's a day that is set aside to sort of speak to pertinent issues. One of the biggest problems today in the world is plastic pollution, right? We've migrated over time globally from using glass, et cetera, to using a lot of PVCs and plastics, et cetera, for water, for name it, for bottles, for whatever, in every sector. And because we didn't plan for the impact on the environment, everywhere you look, there is water, what do we call that thing? Pure water sachet, there is plastic, it's all over. And it is damaging our environment. It's damaging our waterways, it's damaging our streets, it's damaging our environment. And so this year, the theme is how to beat plastic pollution. And every locality is meant to come up with what it is that they can do in their own environment to deal with that.
Questions for you. Okay.
Yes, I love the fact that you say, because sometimes when we talk about environmental issues, it sounds so far away because of the world environment. But I love that you say we should domesticate it and what does it mean to us. So maybe if given the fact that you're involved in cleaning up the environment, Nigerian environment, and also, being part of the environmental sphere, how would you speak to Nigerians concerning the importance of using less plastic or using other alternatives to plastic? What kind of message can we give out that would appeal to Nigerians, that will understand and will be more relatable to them?
Okay, so thank you so much. So when we talk about Nigerians, we're talking about every strata of Nigeria because we all have roles and responsibilities. And so I'm going to sort of speak to that in 3 dimensions, right? What we need to do with respect to beating plastic pollution, but I'd rather even want us to say this as a microcosm of what we need to do to get our environment working for us. So the first, and as usual, is what is the role of government in this? What is the role of government? Government is meant to enact the right policies. I guess I'm probably the oldest on this table, right? But I do remember that growing up, soft drinks was done in bottles.
Yes.
In crates. And typically when mom sends you to go and buy a crate of mineral, you actually take a bottle to exchange. All right? So that means that you've created an economy around that. It means that there is value in that exchange. You exchange a bottle for some value. If you don't bring a bottle, you're not going to get another one. So I think that government needs to be very forward-thinking in terms of policies on plastics, all right? Such that we can, number one, know the amount of plastics that we're producing, who is producing them, what is being used for, where do they start, and where do they end up, right? All there are environmental agencies in different states. Lagos State, I'll talk about that in a minute, and I'm very happy about the partnership we have with that agency. So I think that the role of government is in ensuring that there's the right policy in place, such that you monitor if you produce plastic at every point in time. I need to know how many you have produced, and I need to know where they have ended up.
Yes.
Of course, there are waste management policies and issues, etc., around that need to be tweaked. All of those rules, laws, and policies are in place. We just probably need enforcement, and that's where the government and the government agencies, also come in. So that's the first dimension. The second dimension is in the commercial space, business and finance. All right, in my religion, I say money answers all things, right? Now, the private sector is very, very important in every sphere of our lives. And this speaks to my being the chief cleaner of Nigeria. Currently, I'm the national president of the Cleaning Practitioners Association. And I'm very proud of the work that we're doing, particularly Lagos State is taking the lead. And that's why I was excited when I thought Dr. Fashawa was going to be here, because as a Cleaning Practitioners Association of Nigeria, we've actually established an MOU with the Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, and to support and work with them in the work they are doing on plastic for cash and all of those type of things. Okay. Where do we come in, and where does the private sector come in? Because we, as cleaners, we're probably across the country, maybe we have about 1 million people working for us, right? And we clean offices, we clean, you know. Now, if there is a policy and practice in that space that ensures that from the point of generating and disposing the waste in the offices is properly sorted, all right? And if this is plastic, plastic must go here, right? We sort our waste. We need to be educated. We need to be empowered. We, the cleaners here, we need to be educated. We need to be empowered. And so our customers in the private sector need to understand that, so that we work in partnership to ensure that plastic does not end in the wrong place. If we manage it at the point of producing the waste or generating the waste, it goes to the right place, right? And then the ones that you are going to resell, the one you are going to recycle, the one, you know, etc. That happens to that. And finally, I keep saying that we have responsibilities as citizens. Every citizen has a responsibility. 3 years ago, the CPAN started a 10-year program that we called Clean Up and Green Up, all right? Just think about it. Someone says that if everybody cleans their doorstep, the world will be a clean place, all right? So part of the simple thing we're trying to advocate is let each person have a responsibility for cleaning up their internal spaces, and by law, by practice, and a portion of the front of their building, whether it's their gutters, whether it's the road, etc., etc. Okay, so that we have an environment that is clean,
right.
that is clean. Yeah.
Come on, talk about.
So waste to wealth is a term that we've become familiar with because some countries and some activists have been able to effectively monetize waste. And within the system in Nigeria, we know that money has helped in reducing, helped create the economy of picking up those plastics from the road. What would you say would be the right approach to improve on that concept of, let's not stop people from, like creating the cleaners and letting cleaners know they can earn money, additional money from sorting the trash. And it is not illegal, it's not a side gig, it is a formal way to earn bonuses as a cleaner anywhere in Nigeria if they are able to sort the trash and then convert the waste into wealth.
Okay. All right, thank you very much, Tokwe. You asked the question and you pretty much answered it. But an additional point I would just want to make is this. Waste to wealth, we hear a lot of, all this. I run away from sound bites because sometimes you lose the substance of what you're trying to say. Basically, I think we've started in terms of some of these initiatives of exchanging waste plastics for cash, etc. But it's still a bit of a token because fundamentally, we do not have the institutional framework to drive the plastic economy, all right? So what I think that needs to be done in that space is that let us encourage people to keep doing this so that there is an economy, it makes a lot of sense. But like I keep saying, it is when there is adequate control and line of sight of every plastic bottle that is produced. We know where it starts and we know where it ends. And that's why I brought up the issue of the bottles in the first instance. Then it becomes a cycle, and until that economy makes sense to the private sector, they control our lives. Until the private sector sees value in doing it, it will remain a token because it's going to be me and my cleaners struggling to get 50 naira and 500 naira. No. If a guy knows that if he doesn't account for his plastic, LASEPA comes in and he gets a fine of 20 million. Trust me, he will force me, the cleaner, to do the right thing. Beyond the fact that I'm just picking up bottles to get bits here and there.
I like the fact that you mentioned that because I know that the plastic industry is a very huge one. We have multinationals from different countries set up, especially in places like Ota, where they have factory for their plastics and they churn out in millions on a daily basis. And I'm wondering, because if you go back to the households, when we go to shop, sometimes we prefer to have the plastic bags instead of the paper bags because the plastic bags are more durable. They last more. So instead of, before I get home, it's torn from the car, there's nothing I can do with it, I'd rather request for the plastic bag. How do we begin to have this conversation across homes and schools for our children to understand that we can begin to insist that this is what is better for our environment than just going for the one that would be more durable for us?
All right. Thank you. Again, comes back to our responsibilities as citizens. So the first thing is, what do we need to recycle? What do we need to replace, right? Again, if, I know that people here travel abroad, right? When you go abroad and you buy stuff in a store, they will tell you, if you want a bag, you pay a nickel more. You pay a nickel for the bag. Yeah. If you want this type of bag, you pay a little bit more. Now, so if I go into any of the shops, Spar, ShopRite, wherever, and I already know that it's going to cost me a little bit more to get the plastic bag. And then if there is if there is value in, if I bring my own bag, I get an incentive. So it's multi-dimensional. But we as the people, because we are the ones everywhere, we need to be informed and educated to know that, let me tell you, no matter what you say to me, right, that I'm poor about the environment, it means nothing to me.
Exactly.
It means absolutely nothing to me. But if I see an incentive that makes me behave in a particular manner that hits my belly or my pocket, then it makes sense. And that's what our responsibilities are. We can inform and advocate as much as you want. You can tell my cleaners as much as you want that this is good for the environment. Paper is better than this. It means nothing to that fellow. If he doesn't see that if I do this, this is what I get in return, either positively, and if I don't do the right thing, then I get a reprimand. I think those are the levers of control that we need to put in everything that we do.
So, you see, when we're talking environment, sometimes it seems like we talk about the heads of some people. So it's always important for us to break it down. I'd like us to go back to the idea of start to finish, knowing where the plastic is going. So you're saying, for example, if I'm selling plastic bottles, right, and I sell to BC maybe 3 cartons of plastic, if she's going to come back again, she must come back with that 3 empty cartons to me to buy another 3 bags. So if she likes, she can keep that 3 cartons in her house. That's her business. Whenever she wants to have a party night, she wants to do a big party. Hopefully she engages somebody that has multiple cartons or who has a credit limit with Mr. John. I say, okay, Mr. John, I'm going to be taking 20 cartons from you, and I'm going to promise to return the 20 cartons. So her cleaners, after the party, are picking up bagging it, making sure they go back. So when I go back to Mariam, okay, please take your 20 cartons. So next step. So it's clear. So that's what you're proposing, because these cleaners can then see that there's value.
When we had
bottles. Okay. All right.
Yes, I was just going to maybe make a case for Lagos State. I know that they are constantly having the conversation on recycling. Recycling is actually a huge money-making business. But a lot of what we do or we're aware of is the subsistence, pick up a bottle and take it. But there are people who have storages and they're just waiting for these bottles, and they export them actually. But we don't have so many. And I've heard the Lagos State government say we need more people in that industry to do that. So the conversation is to let that person pick in 1 bottle, 2 bottles, to know that you can upscale that business to something bigger. You can be a millionaire just by doing that recycling business. So I just wanted to put that out there to show that government is, but in Nigeria, it seems like it's a Lagos State conversation. It's not so widespread, you know. It's not, this education needs to be across Nigeria. I don't really hear that conversation everywhere. In the north, yes, we have the collecting the bottles. We've done it even long before the conversation of climate change or anything. It's just been a way, but always at a small level, you know.
Please, I wanted to throw in a question, though, because we have many people that are studying environmental environmental biology in our schools, and there's this gap between town and gown. And I think that sometimes it might be difficult to talk to the politicians, but you're an individual. You are not. Your organization does not have any tenure that is expiring. How do you think we can bridge that gap where we get our people from the schools, the thousands of people that were releasing, or millions, who knows, that were releasing into not looking for work within the banking sector and other sector, but they are able to maximize, they see the value chain of what they study and how they can solve local problems within the environment of Nigeria?
Okay, so that's a big one. It's a big one in the sense that it's a microcosm or a small representation of a bigger, challenge in the society. What is the what is our education? What are we producing? How is it meeting our needs as a society? So whether it's in the environment where I play or in healthcare, where my life is primarily, or as a cleaner, you know, it's the same, it runs across. Now, I really think we have fundamental challenges in our education and in our healthcare. I think that's a discussion or a conversation, you know, for another day or for another season. But what I will say is this: I think this is one point, and I will use an example which may not be totally related may not be a direct answer to your question. Is we need a radical approach as a people, led by policy and government, to transform and translate a lot of the things that we're doing, because we need to make a drastic change of direction. Let me explain. For instance, I'm a facility manager. When you need, even private people, there are some masons you need or some handymen that you need, and you're going to Togo and all of those funny places, yet you have tons of people around here, because maybe we're not educating and skilling the people that we need in that regard. As a physician, for instance, what is the capacity that people have and the numbers and, you know, and all of that. So I think that we need a policy, right, that ensures that what is the need out there, we create an economy around it, because when people are not earning money, it makes no sense. A plumber in UK may earn more money than a doctor in a year. So why do I want to be a plumber and all of that? I say something. Let me give one example, and I'll rest it there. I'll use an example I always give in healthcare. 2023, healthcare budget is over $1 trillion, right? Yet, that's federal budget. Maybe if we add up all the states to it, maybe we're having close to $2 trillion. Yet we have one of the worst health outcomes in the world. Nigeria and India, we are responsible for 1/3 of under 5 deaths and things like that. But do you realize that it's because our focus is always on the production side? Our focus is never on the demand side. What do I mean? We're always thinking that healthcare, solution to healthcare is build more hospitals,
more doctors,
you know, build more doctors, pay GSWs on strike, this on strike. It's going to be a cycle for as long as that's what we're doing. If we take 2 trillion and put it in a pot, just theoretically, do you realize that 2 trillion divided by 200 million people is 10,000 naira? In Lagos State, Lagos leads the way, but we're having conversations across the country. What's happening here? Some of my members in Port Harcourt and Abuja are also doing one or two other things. But Lagos State, for instance, has a social health scheme that is 8,500, which means per annum. Yes, 42,000 for a family. It's working.
Come here.
Do you know what I just said? It means that if the money government spends today moves away from building hospitals, paying doctors, etc., and it moves into providing service, into paying for health care or health insurance for everyone, it means that with the amount of money we are spending in Nigeria today, Nigeria can afford to give everybody that health insurance, which is almost like free. Because that is exactly how much we're spending. And then the private sector will have an incentive to be the one providing the health care. Just like what we do in our health insurance. You don't care what the doctors are doing. You just pay your HMO and you go into a hospital. So that is the kind of radical thinking that we need in our health, we need in our education, and we need the political will to step in front of it. Making promises to make further payments on this or that. It's not going to solve the problem. It's not going to solve the problem. We don't have the money. 7 trillion in debt. Where are we going to get the money from? So
if you insure everybody, and everybody knows that whenever they go to the healthcare system, they get it. And that money is in circulation. The doctors are complaining they don't have money, but if money is in circulation, insurance makes money. It will flow around. It's not flowing round.
If doctors know that 2 trillion is available to be paid for their services, I trust you, they will run back.
Interesting.
Oh, we advise them.
We have to.
We have already advised them.
We've already saying that we can't stop them from leaving, but we can bring them incentive to come back. So we said that on the show. Thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Chief cleaner of Nigeria. I like that. Good to have you on the show. That's all we can take on today's show. See you tomorrow. Bye for now.